What's up, guys? Welcome to the channel, or welcome back to the channel. Today I've got a fun one for you. I am going to be bringing you all of the top pros and cons for Pleasant Hill, California, so let's go check it out. What's up, guys? I am Dobrinich. If this is your first time to the channel, welcome. Second, make sure you hit that subscribe button and that notification bell, because every single week I am bringing you a new video of everything that you need to know about moving to or living in the San Francisco Bay Area. Also, I am a licensed real estate agent, and as much as I love making these videos for you, I would love even more to be able to help you with your real estate needs. So that number that keeps popping up below, I do answer all of my own phone calls, emails, text messages. I would love to be a resource for you and help you out in any way that I can. With that being said, let's jump into the top pros and cons for living in Pleasant Hill, California. Now, I'm really excited to be recording this video for you because I happen to live in Pleasant Hill, and I am looking forward to giving you my perspective on it, because my wife and I moved out here from San Francisco, and out of all the places in the East Bay that we were considering moving, Pleasant Hill was at the top of our list. This is my perspective on Pleasant Hill, giving you the good and the bad, so hopefully you find it helpful. And let's jump into number one, which is the tight-knit community. Now, this is actually the number one reason why my wife and I moved out here, because the community here in Pleasant Hill is a very tight-knit community. It's a very social community. This is a place where you're gonna find your neighbors hanging out together. You're gonna find the same people walking their dogs every single night, taking their kids for a walk every single night as you're in your neighborhood. And so the community feel here of Pleasant Hill is something that you don't find very often. And like I said, was the number one reason why we moved out here, was because something that we were looking for as we were transitioning to the suburbs. And so I absolutely have the tight-knit community of Pleasant Hill as number one on my list, top pro for Pleasant Hill. All right, now this leads me right into number two, which are the neighborhoods. What you're gonna find here are a lot of tree-lined streets, homes that are on larger lots. There are a lot of ranch style homes, and I'm gonna get into the homes here in just a minute when I talk about number three, which is affordability. But the ranch style homes on larger lots is something that's really appealing to a lot of people. There's been a lot of turnover here in the last few years, so you're seeing a lot of these homes being remodeled. And as I mentioned, the neighborhoods are very social. The people that live here, they look out for each other, they interact and hang out together, the kids play together. So the neighborhood vibe here is just really, really cool. That was something that was really important to my wife and I, especially coming from San Francisco. And so if that's something that you're looking for, you'll definitely find that in the neighborhoods here. I think you'll really like them. All right, so my number three pro is affordability. I think this is one of the things that has made Pleasant Hill such an attractive destination for people that are moving out here from San Francisco or moving into the Bay Area from out of state or out of the area. And the reason for that is because when you think about some of the neighboring towns like Walnut Creek, Lafayette, Danville, San Ramon, the price point of Pleasant Hill is just a little bit more affordable, but the amenities that you get has made Pleasant Hill really, really attractive. Now, is it as affordable as kind of the neighboring towns of Concord or Martinez? No, it's not. The price point here in Pleasant Hill is definitely a little bit higher. So let's talk about some of those price points. So depending upon where you're at in Pleasant Hill, you are going to be able to find homes that are like 3-bedroom, 1-bath, pretty good lot size. And the price point will be on the low end, somewhere in the, call it the $700,000 to $900,000, maybe $1 million range. As you transition into some of the neighborhoods that have a little bit bigger homes, these are homes that are at minimum 3-bedroom, 1-bath, but are often 3 or 4 bedrooms and 2 baths and much bigger lot sizes. The price point is going to kind of start maybe around $1 million or 1.1 and essentially go up from there. I've seen it as high as, call it 1.4, 1.5 in those neighborhoods. Now, when you get to the bigger homes that are basically like a minimum of 4 bedrooms up in the kind of the hilly area of Pleasant Hill, you're going to find the price point starting a bit higher. They will be starting at 1.4, 1.5, going up to probably about 1.8. Now, there also are some new construction options here in Pleasant Hill, some small communities that have been built recently. Those will give you bigger homes, bigger bedroom counts, but the lot sizes will be quite a bit smaller and you won't get as much of a backyard. But hopefully that just kind of gives you an idea of where the price points are. Pleasant Hill is a really attractive option when it comes to the housing affordability. All right, so my number 4 pro for Pleasant Hill is the proximity. Now, I'm gonna break this down in a few different ways. So the way that this part of Contra Costa County is laid out, it's essentially a series of interconnected towns. And so you have Pleasant Hill connected to Lafayette, connected to Walnut Creek, and Martinez. They all border one another. That's one of the things that makes Pleasant Hill's location so great for people, is that the towns that it's connected to are so easy to get to, 5-10 minute car ride. So depending upon whether you're looking for additional shopping options, restaurant options, bar options, things to do, it's all very close by and very easy to get to. So you don't necessarily need to have everything within your own town because it is so easy to get to some of these other towns. So Pleasant Hill's proximity to these other areas is definitely a pro on my list. So first, let's talk about Pleasant Hill's proximity for commuting. So no matter where you're at in Pleasant Hill, you're about a 5 to 7 minute drive to the Pleasant Hill BART station. And that Pleasant Hill BART station can easily get you to the major employment hubs like Oakland or San Francisco. Oakland, it'll take about a 20-25 minute BART ride. Getting out into San Francisco will be about 40 or 45 minutes. Pleasant Hill is also essentially located at the interchange of Highway 24 and Highway 680. So it's also very easy to get to the highways from anywhere in Pleasant Hill. So if you need to use your car for a commute, it's very easy to get onto the freeway and start to get to where you need. So if you are going to, let's say, San Ramon and Bishop Ranch for your job, that's about a 20-25 minute car ride. Same thing, getting into Oakland is about 25-30 minutes via car, and probably about 45 minutes on the low end and an hour 15 on the high end out to San Francisco, depending upon traffic. So again, Pleasant Hill's proximity to freeways and the BART station is absolutely a pro on my list. So the last thing that I want to touch on as it relates to proximity for Pleasant Hill is its proximity related to some of the major attractions here in the Bay Area. It's very easy to jump onto the freeway here and be in Tahoe in about 2.5 hours. So whether you're looking to get out of town for a weekend or even a day trip for snowboarding or skiing or boating or hanging out at the lake during the summertime, it's very easy to get to Tahoe from Pleasant Hill. Now, you're also about 45 minutes away from Napa and Sonoma. So if you're looking to get away for a weekend of wine tasting, it's very easy to get to. Again, also very easy for a day trip or even just a couple hours up there at some of the best wineries in the world. Of course, like I mentioned before, you're about a 45 minute to an hour and 15 minute car ride from San Francisco and all the attractions that San Francisco has to offer, whether it's the beach, some of the tourist stuff like Fisherman's Wharf, of course, a great dinner, show, going to a Warriors game. The Bay Area has a lot to offer, it just in general, as far as things to do and attractions, and Pleasant Hill's nicely situated here to be able to get you to these places very easily. Now, that leads me into my number 5 pro for Pleasant Hill, which are the activities. Now, one of the things that I absolutely love about Pleasant Hill is the city does an incredible job of putting on activities for the community here throughout the year. So they do a Blues and Brews festival during the summer. There's an Arts and Wines festival. They also host an Off the Grid every single Wednesday, which is a night where the food trucks come in. It's a great place to go to grab dinner, try different foods. It's a really cool atmosphere, great place to connect with your neighbors, connect with the community. People love to bring their kids there during the good weather months here in Pleasant Hill. It's really, really fantastic. You are also very close to the Briones Regional Park, where you can get up into the hills for a hike. You're also very close to Mount Diablo State Park. You're about 10 or 15 minute drive from the entrance there. And once you're in Mount Diablo State Park, hiking, biking, sightseeing, you can easily do an entire day up in Mount Diablo. Pleasant Hill being so close to that really makes it a great option for a weekend day with the family. And lastly, Pleasant Hill is also situated right on the Iron Horse Trail. Now, the Iron Horse Trail, if you're not familiar, is a trail that can take you all the way from Concord and Martinez all the way down to Dublin Pleasanton. So it's basically about a 30-mile trail. So throughout the week, throughout the weekend, you're going to find people walking, running, biking, taking the dog for a walk, walking the kids. It's just a great way to get out and get a little bit of exercise, get your weekend started. I have number 5 activities on my list for pros for Pleasant Hill. Now, one more pro for you for Pleasant Hill I'm going to call out. There is a brand new state-of-the-art library that was just built here. in Pleasant Hill. Now, I heard it was designed by the guy that designed the Apple stores. I don't know if that's true or not, but the library is really cool. They've got a lot of great activities for kids there. The community here absolutely loves it. It's just been a fantastic addition to the community and to the town. So getting into the cons for Pleasant Hill, because there are some. So I'm certainly going to have fewer cons than I did for pros, but I think that there are some important things that I should call out for you. Number one, Pleasant Hill is a sleepy town. You're definitely in the suburbs. You're not going to find a whole lot of nightlife here. It's not like a bustling city vibe or anything like that. Things close early here. You know, you're not going to find dinner or late night pizza here in Pleasant Hill, or quite frankly, in many of the towns here in Contra Costa County, you're not really going to find it. So if a lot of nightlife and activity is something that's really, really important to you, Pleasant Hill might not be your top choice, but again, I just want to make sure that I call that out for you. So now that's going to lead me right into number two, which is the downtown of Pleasant Hill. There's not a whole lot there. There's not a lot of shopping. There are a few restaurants there. There's a movie theater, but there's really not a whole lot going on in the downtown. And again, that's part of the reason why I called out Pleasant Hill's proximity to the other towns as a pro, is because you will often find yourself going to some of these other towns to get a few more options as far as restaurants. You'll certainly end up in Walnut Creek at Broadway Plaza for some shopping. I will call out that there's a new brewery coming in called Morgan Territory, and there are a couple of restaurants that locals do really enjoy and like to go to, but like I said, just not a whole lot there. Now, my number three con for Pleasant Hill is the traffic. So I want to break this down in a few different ways. So as I mentioned, Pleasant Hill sits at the intersection of Highway 24 and Highway 680. So during the commute hours in the morning and in the afternoon, there is a ton of traffic. It is kind of a major thoroughfare of people getting from one place to another. So you are really going to find a lot of traffic, and you're going to need to plan your commute accordingly. So this is absolutely something that you're going to be dealing with week in and week out. There's just really kind of no way around it. The freeways here have a lot of traffic. And now I also want to call out that Pleasant Hill is a small town, and so there's not a lot of major roads to get you from one place to another. So these streets can also become very busy, especially during the school hours, like when parents are dropping off their kids in the morning around 8 a.m. and then of course around 3 p.m. The streets get pretty busy here in Pleasant Hill, and it makes it difficult to get from one place to another, especially because some of those schools are situated right along some of these major roads that take you from one place to another within Pleasant Hill. So aside from the freeways, it's also important to know that you are going to run into some street traffic here depending upon the time of day in Pleasant Hill. Okay, so the last two things I want to share with you about Pleasant Hill, I couldn't really decide whether to put them in pros and cons. I guess it's really going to depend on your perspective, but I want to share this information with you again, just to make sure that I'm giving you all of the information about Pleasant Hill. So let's talk about the schools. In my opinion, the schools here in Pleasant Hill are very solid. This is a subjective opinion. It's important for you to do your own research, your own due diligence. I know a lot of people, a lot of parents like to use greatschools.org to get a good sense of the ratings of the schools in any town, along with Pleasant Hill. And there are a lot of other great resources out there too, especially Facebook mom groups and things along those lines where people are sharing a lot of information about the schools. But my perspective on the schools is that they're very solid here. The ratings are pretty good. Are the ratings as good as schools in Lafayette or Danville or San Ramon? No, they're not. The ratings for the schools in those cities are literally some of the best in the entire state. And so Pleasant Hill doesn't quite have that rating. And so if the school ratings and the schools are super important to you, the schools here in Pleasant Hill might be a con for you. But from my perspective, the schools here are quite solid. And the last thing that I want to cover is the weather. You are going to get much more of the four seasons here in this area of Contra Costa. So in the summer, it's going to get up to the 90s and 100s during the day. At night, you're going to get those beautiful summer nights. In the winter, the temperatures are going to drop into the 30s and 40s at night, get up into the 50s and 60s during the day. Now in the fall and spring, you're going to get those beautiful transitional seasons where the temperature and the weather is kind of perfect. In the fall, the leaves definitely change here in Pleasant Hill. You're going to get those nice colorful trees. It's just really beautiful time. And in the spring, when everything's coming back and regrowing, it's also a beautiful time. But you're certainly going to get those four seasons here. The temperatures vary quite a bit more compared to an area like San Francisco, but you're not going to get the wind and the fog out here like you would out in those areas. So if 90 or 100 degree days are not for you, the weather in Pleasant Hill might be a con. But again, if you're looking for the four seasons and the nice sort of variation in temperatures, Pleasant Hill will have you covered. All right, so that rounds out my list of the top pros and cons for Pleasant Hill, California. I hope you found this video helpful. As much as I love making these videos for you, I would love even more to be able to help you with your real estate needs. And that number that's popping up below, I do answer all of my own phone calls, emails, and text messages. You will get a hold of me personally, and if I can be a resource for you, I would love to do so. With that being said, have a great week, have a great weekend ahead, and we'll look forward to seeing you on the next video.